It's The Kim Monson Show, analyzing the most important stories.
The socialization of transportation, education, energy, housing, and water, what it means is that government controls it through rules and regulations.
The latest in politics and world affairs.
Under this guise of bipartisanship and nonpartisanship, it's actually tapping down the truth.
Today's current opinions and ideas.
On an equal field in the battle of ideas, mistruths and misconceptions is getting us into a world of hurt.
Is it freedom or is it force? Let's have a conversation.
Indeed. Let's have a conversation. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Kim Monson Show. Thank you so much for joining us. You're each treasured, valued, you have purpose. Today, strive for excellence. Take care of your heart, your soul, your mind, and your body. My friends, we were made for this moment. Thank you to the team. Producer Nicole, Rachel, Charlie, everybody here at Crawford Broadcasting. Happy Monday, Producer Joe.
Happy Monday, Kim.
And check out our website. That's kimmunson.com. Sign up for our weekly email newsletter. You'll get first look at our upcoming guests as well as our most recent essays. And thank you to all an independent voice on an independent station, searching for truth and clarity by looking at these issues through the lens of freedom versus force, force versus freedom. If something's a good idea, you should not have to force people to do it. In studio with me is my friend Kurt Gerwitz. Welcome. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Kim.
We get to have our monthly it's today too.
I'm very forward to it. Hooters, if you're listening to fish tacos again.
Are you gonna? I'm gonna have the fish and chips, like always.
Like always.
But they have great specials Monday through Friday for lunch, and it's an important story. How I got to know them about freedom, free markets, and capitalism. And you can find that at my website. Thank you to the Harris family for their gold sponsorship of the show. And thank you to the National Shooting Sports Foundation for their gold sponsorship of the show as well. And the National Shooting Sports Foundation has a government relations team relentlessly advocating for measures on behalf and working in defense of the firearm and ammunition industry at all levels and before all branches of government. Sponsors as well. Our word of the day, Kurt, is analogy.
Analogy.
It's analogy. First definition, a similarity between like features of two things on which a comparison may be based. For example, the analogy between a heart and a pump. The second definition is similarity or comparability. And it's their example is, I see no analogy between your problem and mine. This is the sentences I created. We are in the third founding of America. There are many analogies between the usurpations noted by Jefferson in the Declaration of Independence and what we are facing today.
How so, Kim?
How so? Oh, well.
So the Declaration of Independence, this tremendous document that puts into code, puts into government these radical ideas of human rights, and so we changed the world with this Declaration of Independence. It's amazing. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So how are we facing something like that today? I feel like, are we writing another Declaration of Independence, Kim?
I don't know that we need to write another one because I think this one is pretty good. So let's see here. Where should I go? They're talking about King George. He has refused his assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has
So it's a list of grievances against King George that we could take out King George and replace with like modern government.
Right. Here's another one. There's 27 of them. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. But would you not say that we're having the obstruction of justice happening in our country right now?
Well, I've got a counterexample. Sam Bankman-Fried is going to jail.
Okay, well, yeah, but they let him out.
Well, the system works. He's going nowhere. He's what a story of a grifter, right? What a story of
that has to be my word tomorrow. Grifter.
Yeah, grifter. Here's a kid. His both of his parents are,
professors at Stanford.
Yeah, professors at Stanford, and he just grew up in this bubble of he can do no wrong. He's in that generation where everybody gets a trophy. And he really started in the movement for effective altruism. Have you heard about this?
No, let's talk about that. You know what? Let's keep that as a cliffhanger. Oh, that's... we thought we knew what we were going to talk about, and now we don't. So, but Kurt Gerwitz is in studio with me, and we have all these important discussions because I have sponsors that are just so strive for excellence in their fields, and we'll be talking with one right now. And I'm talking with Roger Mangan, State Farm insurance agent, great sponsor of the show. And we're talking about some different things regarding young people. Last week, Roger, first of all, we're talking about life insurance regarding young people. First thing is many times they think it'll never happen to me. And then all the other thought about adding another bill certainly can be daunting for young people. But we've gone through and talked a little bit about if you're married, family, you certainly need to have some life insurance. Many times if you work for a large employer, they may offer life insurance, and then you can buy additional for a nominal fee, but you may not always work for that particular employer. And so we were talking about term life insurance and cash value, and you were going to tell us a story last week, and we kept that as a cliffhanger.
Thank you, Kim. This is a true story. It happened to Roger and Alice Mangan, a young couple, probably in our early 20s, 24, 25. Someone convinced us to buy a cash value life insurance policy, and we had some coverage through the school districts where we worked as teachers in our early career. What happened is we put money into this policy for about 4 or 5 years. Then we decided to buy a house only to find out we didn't have enough down payment. And then we discovered that the cash value in this life insurance policy could be borrowed. We can make a loan against the policy. Now, this is a long time ago. The down payment, I think, on this house was somewhere around $5,000. Well, I had $3,000 in savings. So I found out I had more than $2,000 that I could take out of the policy, make a loan. So that loan enabled me to buy a house, which, by the way, back in the day, don't laugh, was $36,000. But we sold it about 4 years later for about $78,000. So we took that equity that never would have happened if I hadn't had that cash value life insurance policy. And then that really equity allowed me to start my career with State Farm, which I've been doing for 47 years now. True story. It's something that you might want to be thinking about.
Well, that's fascinating. So you took this loan out on this life insurance policy that you had. Did you have to pay that back, or how did that work?
The loan doesn't have to be paid back, but you will have interest accumulating. So let's say I borrowed $2,000 at 5%. That interest is only $100 a year. So I can pay the $100 a year and keep that loan active, or I could nibble away at that loan over a period of time. So interest rates on life insurance today, usually a variable interest rate. Right now they're running about 5 to 6%. So in today's interest rate market, that is very good. So I think you might want to talk to someone and get some advice. But more importantly, my philosophy has always been buy what you need first, but then couple that with buy what you can afford. So if you can afford to spend, let's say, $30 a month, whoever you're talking to buy this life insurance, you ask them, what is the best product I can get for $30 and maximize my coverage to protect my family? I think every man, woman, or child who is supporting a family has a fiduciary responsibility to them. Probably the two biggest things, and there are probably 5, but I'm going to talk about 2. One, most important, is income replacement. If I go down in a car accident or I get injured severely and I can't work anymore, hopefully I have some disability income policy someplace with my employer. And we're going to address that in maybe other shows. But if I get killed in a car accident and don't come home that night from work, and I was making $80,000 a year, and now that income disappears, your family predicated a lot of decisions on that continued income. So you need to replace that income for sure. And the cost to do that, it's going to vary depending on who you are, male, female. There's a difference in those rates. And of course, your height to weight ratios, your blood pressure, your medical history. But take it upon yourself to learn something about this so you can protect your family.
So, Roger, if someone wanted to get more information, and they could reach out to you, and it doesn't cost them anything to talk about this, does it?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What's the best way for people to reach you?
I think calling us is the best. It's 303-795-8855. And we really provide service and coverage and sell policies all over Colorado and Wyoming. Okay?
And we have a broadcast reach up into Wyoming as well, so that's good to know. And again, the Roger Mangan State Farm Insurance Team, like a good neighbor, they're there for you.
With the limited number of homes in the Colorado Front Range market, Karen Levine can help you achieve your home buying or selling vision. Karen has the right connections, technology, and strategies to help you buy or sell your home or to purchase a new build. Whether you're feeling overwhelmed or want someone to take the wheel, or you just need a second opinion, you can rest assured the RE/MAX Realtor, Karen Levine, is the right agent for you. Call Karen Levine at 303-877-7516. Karen is the trusted professional who strives for excellence. That number is 303-877-7516.
You'd like to get in touch with one of the sponsors of The Kim Monson Show, but you can't remember their phone contact or website information. Find a full list of advertising partners on Kim's website, kimmonson.com. That's Kim, MONSON.com.
Welcome back to the Kim Monson Show. Check out our website. That's Kim Monson, MONSON.com. Sign up for a weekly email newsletter. You can email me at kim@kimmonson.com as well. Thank you to all of you who support us. We're an independent voice, and we search for truth and clarity by looking at these issues through the lens of freedom versus force, force versus freedom. Something's a good idea. You should not have to force people to do it. Check out IPAC-EDU. That's IPAK-EDU.org. And this is Dr. James Lyons-Weiler's great educational programs, matching amazing instructors with the intellectually curious. I'm currently in the course Literature as Resistance Against Totalitarianism. Fascinating, with Brad Miller, who was a colonel in the Army, and he resigned shortly before his retirement because he refused to take the jab and refused to force those under his command to take the jab. So it is a super interesting course. And you can see all the new course offerings at ipac-edu.org. That's ipac-edu.org. In studio with me is Kurt Gerwitz. He is a professor. You have a great MBA program class, right?
Yes, Regis University, the Anderson College of Business and Computing. If you want to change your life, it's the best investment in time and money is to go get an MBA at Regis University. And I teach a capstone of the finance concentration in the MBA program, and it's called Anderson Reports, and we do a deep dive on a publicly traded company that's headquartered in Colorado. We've got about 100 publicly traded companies in the state that are headquartered here, and my students get to go interview management, and they the destination for the course is a buy, sell, hold recommendation, and we've got to, they've got to write a full write-up on management strategies, and it's more important to have the industry correct than the company itself, perhaps, but they have to do a financial model, so it's tremendously useful and helpful, and it answers the question, how does the world really work?
That is the question. Yes, definitely. So let's talk more about give us a update on the economy.
Well, we have successfully avoided a recession in 2023.
I'm not sure I believe that.
Yeah, right. So the definition of a recession is 2 quarters of GDP with negative growth. And we actually just had a very strong GDP reading that came in. And everybody's kind of scratching their heads. They're not look, we know that these reports, that this economic update comes in with, you take it with a grain of salt. The data's hard to get, and it gets revised. And this one just came in so high that the Fed said out loud, we were wrong about how resilient the American consumer is. We were wrong about how much cash they had in their bank account. I really thought that by the end of October we'd be out of cash, and yet what we're seeing is the consumer is still out there buying. And so you ask, how is that possible? And the answer is credit card debt. We are at it's 7%. Credit card debt is the highest we've had since before the Great Recession, and the rates are the highest they've ever been in the history of credit cards. We're in the 20-somethings percentages there. So we're gonna this upcoming holiday season is going to be a real test for the American consumer, the American economy. We all believe it has to stop. There has to be an end to this, and inflation's on the way up too. Like, that's the problem with. That's the double-edged sword of a positive GDP report. Is it comes with, we call it aggregate demand, but it just means that people still want stuff. People want things,
and like food and gas.
yes, they want necessities
those kinds of
also. Yes, yeah, and discretionary stuff too, like cars, or they'll upgrade their car sooner rather than later, and so we'll see how this holiday season goes. I learned that Halloween is the second highest spending holiday, that second only to Christmas, of course.
That's fascinating. What, all the decorations and the costumes and the candy and all that?
It must be. I was living in New Orleans for 20 years, and my wife and I had we never argue. We have a healthy debate, and so we were arguing, do we decorate more, our houses decorate more for Christmas than we do for Halloween? And she was like, oh, it's Halloween by far.
Yeah, there's a lot. And did you see those, now the decorations that, they have air in them, they blow them up at night, and, then they're on the ground during the day. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, for people, there's a lot to storing all that stuff. So I could see how there's this market for all of these air decorations, and we have one family down the street that I think they have all of them.
I'd like to see that house.
Yeah. So, I guess I would say Americans like to celebrate.
The philosophical place I take this is, if we're comparing Christmas to Halloween, we're comparing God incarnate, like the esoteric deities becoming real flesh. That's Christmas, versus just a chance to celebrate our fear, a chance to ritualize our fear.
We got to do that during the reaction to COVID.
Yeah, and so fear and love. That's interesting. Yeah.
Well, love ultimately wins out. So let's talk some more about some. So first thing, I had brought out my Declaration of Independence and was going through some of the usurpations, and one of those, and you said, I think you said this. Reread this one. He has erected a multitude of new offices. We're talking about King George. This is the Declaration, our founders, and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. Could you say 87,000 new IRS agents? Or could you say all of these rules and regulations on the local, county, state, and federal level?
Yeah, and my concern for America this week shows up in Joe Biden's executive order on artificial intelligence.
So not legislation, not passed by our elected representatives. This is something that is an executive order that is giving more power to bureaucrats. So tell us about that.
It's 111 pages, and
Joe Biden wrote 111 pages.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I'll tell you who wrote 111 pages is everybody who could get in the room and get a voice, which means anybody could write a check. So it apparently this thing reads as if it was written by not just a group of lobbyists. That's almost status quo, but it's as if the group of lobbyists didn't even have to talk to each other, and they each got 20 pages each, and so it's quite a chimera. It's a Frankenstein of terrible ideas, and it's
And I wasn't, I wasn't really familiar with this. So give us the backstory. This was written. Has he signed it? What's this look like?
Well, the context is that we are concerned about artificial intelligence.
And you have been.
And I've come in here and said it's going to absolutely transform our world. I will say out loud that in 10 years, society will be unrecognizable. I'm using it to help me write emails. It's good for creativity. So what happened is there was. So
when you send me an email, Kim, you're really great. You're really great. You didn't write that. No,
see,
AI.
Look. Here's just what happened is I would say it as bluntly as, Kim, you're really great, you're really great. And then I would ask ChatGPT to help me find better language, give me a couple options, and then I bounce. So I bounce. This new generative AI is a great place to bounce ideas off of and have a conversation with a robot in order to help you refine your ideas, find new language and new ideas and new frameworks for under.
Okay.
So it has it's and that's the transformative piece. But it was only about 5 years ago that we picked up this new the generative piece of it. So we're 5 years in, so it's in its infancy. We're in kindergarten with this stuff, and we've never taken an industry and thrown government at it so soon. And what concerns me is the same thing about cryptocurrency. We had concerns about cryptocurrency also, and the problem with legislation, or I'm sorry, in this case regulation, and it's not legislation, is that we're going to stifle innovation. So there's 29 departments of the government, all the three-letter acronyms, the TLAs, the FTC.
And they're all unaccountable to the people.
The FCC, yeah, right, the deep state. And this document asks each one of them to come up with their own legislation.
Regulations.
Regulations, yes. And so it's almost the cynical take on this is that the end game is that industry, the AI industry, which is it's also an undefined word. Like, it used to just be data analysis, and then it went into deep learning, and then it was machine learning, and now it's AI. And these things are not cleanly defined on what they are. And so when you write bad legislation, you have bad definitions and bad terms, and it's
bad regulations. And it took me a while to understand that legislation is what we're supposed to have. That is what our electeds, pass legislation. They're accountable to it, and we can elect them or unelect them because of that. But regulations through these unelected bureaucrats, we don't have a say in it.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is the industry. When we say we are not going to have a say in it, here's the analogy.
I mean, we the people.
Right. Like who gets a say in it is the question. And so the analogy, there's our word of the day.
Nice.
Is that in the 1990s, you can have a bookshelf full of science fiction about the fears of what a personal computers, how it's going to change society and how it's going to destroy the economy. And what we did not do at that time was throw executive orders and premature regulation at it, and it would completely have destroyed the industry. And we didn't do that because we didn't have that culture of government needs to get involved. And so the IBM at that time would have been happy to sit in the room with government and make sure that their competition wasn't allowed to play along.
You couldn't have any new creativity, innovation. They'd be the game in town.
Yeah, and so artificial intelligence, the game in town is, the usual players. It's Google. It's that OpenAI, which is now has become a joke of a name because it's absolutely closed AI. And remember, they got a $10 billion injection from Microsoft, and then they decided maybe we're not a nonprofit, and they changed their charter. But the competition to those guys is open source, where people can work on their own. Like, we can take these databases, and we can take the computing technology, and we can build our own things, and we can tinker in our garage without permission. And if you ask them, they're like, "Oh no, you're going to have to ask permission, otherwise it's an existential threat to humanity." And so we've got this poorly thought out, 111-page monstrosity that's going to put us behind China, India, and Singapore, they're going to let their people innovate, and we didn't do it with software in the United States. And if you look at all the industries, you and I could talk about the economy and all the industries, which ones are innovating. It's the new ones. It's the ones that don't have regulation on them.
Right. And I just want to mention tomorrow we're going to have Phil Kerpen on. Regarding the Biden or the Obama administration. And again, I was on city council at this time, and I saw this. I was still learning. I'm like, this isn't right. But Obama was working through net neutrality, the FCC, to control the internet. Trump gets into office, and he gets rid of that. Biden, they're back at it. So we're going to be talking with Phil Kerpen on that, where, again, having PBIs, politicians, bureaucrats, and interested parties pushing forward control of the internet. The taking away freedom, it's like taking away freedom.
And it's called regulatory capture, and it's when an industry, in the name of protecting the consumer, because we need protections.
Because we're too dumb to figure it out.
Right. In the name of that, think about the children, and then what they're actually doing is they're building barriers so that they don't have to compete, because competition's hard.
Yeah, but it makes us better. Yeah, it makes us much better. I'm talking with Kurt Gerwitz, Professor Kurt Gerwitz, and who knows what else we're going to talk. I think I know what we're going to talk about, but we never know what's going to happen with that exactly. But be sure and check out the USMC Memorial Foundation.org, their website. This Saturday is Veterans Day, and it's time to stop and just think about it. Honor those that have been willing to give their lives or have given their lives for our freedom. And this would be a great weekend to make a contribution to the USMC Memorial Foundation to help them as they're raising money for the Marine Memorial. And you can go to usmcmemorialfoundation.org for more information. Another thing, we mentioned our documentary, A Climate Conversation, which you can now view that at climateconversation.com. It did rebroadcast this last Saturday night on Newsmax, but it is it's very thoughtful. Goes through kind of the Socratic method of questioning the narrative out there. And when we had the Colorado premiere, Glenn Jansen was there with his camera, and Glenn and Mary Jansen own Jansen Photography. They're located in Lakewood, Colorado. Beautiful property. So all of these different landscapes for the perfect portrait for your family or your children, or senior portraits, and they can help with all that. And then Glenn is so good at lighting, and he can help you with that photo that you need for your business or your political career. You can get more information by going to jansenphotography.com. That's JANSSEN photography.com. And talking about climate, macroclimate, a climate conversation, microclimate, Johnny Stubbs Heating and Air Conditioning can help you with your heating and air conditioning needs.
Johnny Stubbs Services uses only the best quality products to ensure that your heating and cooling systems run efficiently and last for years. Johnny Stubbs Services' team of experts is available to provide the proper guidance and help you make informed decisions about your heating and cooling needs. Johnny Stubbs Services prides themselves on delivering prompt and reliable service and stands behind their work with a satisfaction guarantee. JohnnyStubbsServices.com, the trusted contractor for all your heating and air conditioning needs. That's JohnnyStubbsServices.com.
If you are 62 or older, a reverse mortgage could be a great tool regarding retirement and estate planning. It is essential to understand the process. Lauren Levy with Polygon Financial Group has nearly 20 years in the mortgage industry and has the experience to answer your questions. Lauren understands that each financial transaction is personal. If you'd like to explore your options on a reverse mortgage, remodel your home, buy a rental property, or move, call Lauren Levy at 303-880-8881. Licensed in 49 states, Kim Monson highly recommends Lauren Levy for all your mortgage needs. Call Lauren at 303-880-8881.
Our future depends on educated, informed, and active citizens. You could do your part by reading Dr. James Lyons Weiler's latest articles at Popular Rationalism on Substack. That's popularrationalism.substack.com.
Focused and wise marketing is essential for your success, especially during tough economic times. If you love The Kim Monson Show, strive for excellence, and understand the importance of engaging in the battle of ideas that is raging in America, then talk with Kim about partnership, sponsorship opportunities. Email Kim at kimmonson.com. Kim focuses on creating relationships with individuals and businesses that are tops in their fields. So they are the trusted experts listeners turn to when looking for products or services. Kim personally endorses each of her sponsors. Again, reach out to Kim at kimmonson.com.
Welcome back to the Kim Monson Show. Check out our website. That is Kim Monson, MONSON.com. Sign up for our weekly email newsletter. You can email me at kim@kimmonson.com as well. Thank you to all of you who support us. We're an independent voice, and we search for truth and clarity by looking at these issues through the lens of freedom versus force, force versus freedom. If something's a good idea, you should not have to force people to do it. Text line is 720-605-0647. And thank you to the Harris family for their gold sponsorship of the show. And it is great to have the National Shooting Sports Foundation as new sponsors of the show. And they actually, no one has done more to promote real firearm safety than the industry itself. And they also have a government relations team relentlessly advocating for measures on behalf of and working in defense of the firearm and ammunition industry at all levels and before all branches of government. So it is great to have them as a sponsor. Also, let's see here. Text line is 720-605-0647. And with all of these different candidates that we've been bringing on, and I think it's so important, these elections are so important and people don't pay attention the way they should. It was great having Bruce Baker on, who is running for Westminster City Council. And he is also recommending Christine Ireland and Scott Schilling to be representatives of the people in Westminster. And so anyway, I have this voter's guide. Took a lot of time, went to deep dives on both Prop HH, Prop II, why no on that, why no on the additional property tax increases that the Douglas County School Board is proposing, and then all these different candidates. And you can find the voter's guide at kimmonson.com. Kurt Gerwitz. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, now that we're going to be getting out of election season, we'll be able to focus a bit more on text messages and call-ins, and that will be the last segment of the second hour. And I know the text line is very busy, so I'm going to try to get to those. Kurt Gerwitz, Professor Kurt Gerwitz, we're talking about AI and this executive order, 111 pages, which an executive order would be something that Joe Biden would sign. And Joe Biden can hardly get 111 words put together. How can he come up with 111 pages on this?
Well, he's outsourcing his work. He's taking good shortcuts, and as we all really should. You know, my concern here is that when you ask 29 government agencies to each come up with their own legislation, you
what could go wrong with that?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? You step back and ask what might be the actual end game, and it's you'll have industry begging, simplify this for us and just give us one regulator. So it'll be just like the FDA regulates our pharma industry, the FTC regulates our communications industry, but it's too soon, and it's just going to be quite a cluster on the way there. What he wrote in there would give authority for the government, and this has never been done before, to go into our private servers and run audits.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because they got to know what you're building. They want, and there's something that they're doing that I actually like the idea of. Again, intentions can be the road to
hell
is paved with good intentions.
Milton Friedman.
They're
yes.
trying to watermark AI content. So this means that, like, if I'm seeing something, if I'm seeing media, if I'm seeing a picture of Kim Monson, there should be a watermark on it, like an indicator that tells me whether or not it was made by a human or made by a robot. And I think that's a good idea. That's interesting. I think that has to happen. But it's so difficult to define that because, a Photoshop picture of you, riding a dinosaur and shooting a missile launcher at the bad guys. That's obviously may or may not be Photoshopped picture.
Yeah, think.
But Photoshop itself is now, it's running this AI that's pretty sophisticated. Everything by Pixar. The artist tells the machine a thing or two, and then the machine does so much work. How many pixels have to be made by a computer for it to be considered AI generated? When we don't have a definition of AI, we're already doing this. So this executive order seems to indicate that Biden has no understanding of how software is used today. And it's as if artificial intelligence has committed a pre-crime and it's being punished for it, like from Minority Report. And finally, it's attacking the process instead of the results. It's already a crime to commit fraud or to steal somebody's intellectual property. We have enough laws on the books. Mm-hmm. If we just would enforce those, that we could probably do good enough of a job and let things sort themselves
mm-hmm.
out.
Interesting that they would want to watermark all of this stuff. But when people have said we need to watermark our ballots so that we're sure that they are authentic, we're told, that can't happen. It's impossible. It's like, come on. So interesting on that. Anything else on AI?
I mean, we can move on. We got a lot to talk about.
Okay. I find this really concerning. The fact that they could come in and audit what you're doing. And so let me move over here to Prop HH for just a minute, okay, which is on our ballots. And Kurt, hold on. I just want to show you this.
While you go for that, I'll say I've seen the ads for Prop HH. Boy, they're persuasive, right? You run a TV spot and it says, like, these are the groups that are supporting it and how nice it is, and we need to take care of. Think of the elderly. We're going to help them.
They're not. So I wanted to show you this. Okay. So Prop HH came to us. Hold on, I better talk in the microphone. Prop HH came to us via a piece of legislation. And so something can get on the ballot via either the state legislature can refer it, the governor has to sign it and gets onto the ballot, or the petition, the citizen's petition. So if it's a letter, it comes to us via the state legislature. If it's a number, it comes via the initiative process. So Prop HH comes to us as a piece of legislation. Prop HH, what it says on the ballot is so dishonest. This is Prop HH.
How many pages?
48.
For people who can't see the podcast here today,
yeah.
Kim is holding up a book worth of papers.
And this is HH. So what triggered me on this, Kurt Gerwitz, when you mentioned that this executive order from Biden would come in and audit, what you're doing on the internet, is that what you said?
Yeah, the private servers.
Okay.
Never has the government been able to put its eyes on a private company's data.
Unless the private company gave it up.
Sure. Or unless there's a subpoena,
yeah.
Right? Like, it's surveillance without cause. Is you show me your court order, show me that this went through a judge officer.
Right. Okay, so I wanted to just highlight this here. On Prop HH, what happens is it creates 4 different subclasses of property, which that's antithetical to the idea that we're all equal. I think all property should be treated equally. Now, there's the whole other question about property taxes, but creating 4 subclasses is picking winners and losers. But then one of the things that they want to do is there's this senior exemption, which I've not liked it because, once again, it gives one person a benefit, another not, and then people start to vote differently. If there's a tax and some people say, well, I don't have to pay that tax, but I think it's a good idea, then they'll vote for it, right? So the senior exemption, instead of just lowering seniors' taxes, how about we lower taxes across the board? But then your PBIs don't have control.
Well, and seniors vote.
And seniors vote. Good point. But let's go ahead and lower taxes across the board for everyone. But if you're now taking that senior exemption, you will have to register your property with the assessor each year and tell them who's living in the house with their Social Security numbers. And I'm thinking, this is just whacking me out. And I was talking to a young person this weekend. They said, well, that seems like that's a good idea because with Airbnbs, there's different, they're renting that property out versus people living there. And I'm thinking under that argument, it then gives government this overreach to know who's living in your house and what their social security numbers are. This is what's in II. And if you don't do the proper reporting.
Wait, is it HH or II?
I mean, HH, sorry. Then you could be fined, penalties, and maybe even charged with a misdemeanor.
It's really like it's a mafia business model. It's an extortion. It's hey, that's a nice property you got there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
Hadn't thought about that. and they cloud it in the language on the ballot is so dishonest. So, okay, let's finish this up. We're going to be in the next segment. Kind of final thought you want to leave on this whole executive order with Joe Biden and AI.
Let's go back to Christmas versus Halloween, fear versus love. Let's choose Christmas. Let's choose love. There's definitely space for both of them.
Yeah, freedom. Okay, Kurt Gerwitz, important discussions. We have all these discussions because of sponsors like John Boson.
A recent report notes that the number of children diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder is consistently and dramatically increasing. This is heartbreaking. If your child or grandchild or someone you know has been diagnosed with autism or ADHD following exposure to Tylenol or acetaminophen during pregnancy, call Boson Law at 303-999-9999. Boson Law is a Colorado-based law firm who has been fighting Big Pharma for over 20 years. Call now at 303-999-9999 for a free, no-obligation review of your potential claim. Call now at 303-999-9999.
All of Kim's sponsors are an inclusive partnership with Kim and are not affiliated with or in partnership with KLZ or Crawford Broadcasting. If you would like to support the work of the Kim Monson Show and grow your business, contact Kim at her website, kimmonson.com. That's Kim Monson, MONSON.com.
Shooting outside can be limited, but at Franktown Firearms' 10-lane, 30-yard indoor range, the weather is always just right. Franktown's range supports handguns, shotguns, rifles up to .50 caliber, and even black powder loads. And safety equipment is provided for free. Since Franktown's range is connected with their gun store, they have a full selection of rental firearms so you can try before you buy to ensure that it's a good fit for you. And if you become a member at Franktown Firearms and Shooting Range, you can even access the range after hours. The range is very well ventilated with fresh air constantly, so you can breathe easy while you shoot. Most importantly, Franktown Firearms is a family-owned and operated gun store. At Franktown, you will be treated with respect as their client because they want you to be confident with your shooting and keep coming back. So use your own gun or try a new one on the range at Franktown Firearms today. Go to klzradio.com/Franktown to find out more. Franktown Firearms, where friends are made.
Back to the Kim Monson Show. Check out our website. That is Kim Monson, MONSON.com. Sign up for our weekly email newsletter. You can email me at kim@kimmonson.com as well. Thank you to all of you who support us. We're an independent voice, and we search for truth and clarity by looking at these issues through the lens of freedom versus force, force versus freedom. If something's a good idea, you should not have to force people to do it. And check out the Center for American Values. That website is AmericanValueCenter.org. And there's some new information there. Drew Dix, who is one of the co-founders, he and Brad Padula are the co-founders of the Center for American Values. He just recently presented back in October 23. He spoke at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And so there's information on that. And then board member Henry Jones was in Washington, D.C. with the honor flight. So good information there. And so just anyway, check that out, AmericanValueCenter.org. They're focused on instilling these values of honor, integrity, and patriotism. And they are non-political. So it's important to check that out as well. Kurt Gerwitz, great. Oh, my gosh. What have you done?
I'm wearing my Lucha Libre mask from my recent trip to Mexico City.
Do I need to take a picture of this?
I'm running a video for us right here. We will definitely take a picture of this.
And where will you find this video?
We'll put it up on the YouTubes.
Okay. And that is Kurt Gerwitz?
You could just search my name, Kurt, K-U-R-T, Gerwitz, G-E-R like Germany. And it should come up pretty easily.
Okay, yes. You're something else. Okay, I want to run through some of these text messages. So first one that I looked at, I mentioned we should lower taxes across the board in one of our listeners and still have a senior exemption. I think, no, we need to get to a point where everybody is treated equally. And our younger people are having enough challenges with high inflation, high interest rates, working. They are paying Social Security and Medicare taxes, and those programs are not sustainable. And so we need to figure out ways to make sure that we are treating everybody equally. So I really think we need to get rid of the senior exemption, but lower taxes across the board, Kurt.
Yeah, I mean, we look at there's a demographic problem in the world, and our solution in America is immigration because we're not making enough babies here. But Japan is the example of not enough young people to pay for the old people. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is kind of, I hate to say it this way, it's the definition of a Ponzi scheme.
It is a Ponzi scheme.
When the new people coming in pay for the old people, and it's not on the investment results, it's just on new entrants. But it is really the way that a lot of the world is set up. So we need to, we need to deal with reality.
Yeah, we do need to address it because it's not sustainable. That's the problem with that. So, okay, let's continue on. There was one that came in earlier regarding these. Let's see. This was regarding. I'm going to get to it. Here we go. It says, and this is from John Galt. He said, in researching Tracer, I'm seeing over $3 million of dark money, which is the hidden progressive teachers union money, that's being pumped into progressive school board candidate campaigns across the Front Range. This is how badly the progressives want to indoctrinate our kids. So be sure and check out my website with recommended candidates there. I think I probably have missed some.
I love to get texts from your audience, and I've felt challenged by them before, and that's why I'm wearing my Lucha Libre mask. I'm ready to go to war with your texters here. I like them when they challenge us, but I don't think John Galt could possibly be his real name.
You think? Okay, another one.
He's wearing a mask too.
He is. The crooks, says like Biden, fear AI because it uses and retrieves all available data. It exposes their dirty deeds done dirt cheap.
Dirty deeds done dirt cheap. I admire the AC/DC reference there. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, the AI, the machines are trained on data that they're fed, and we do have to be careful about what we're feeding it. I heard one of these really smart thinkers say something really stupid about we should be nice to our machines and to each other and just on the internet in general, because that's the content that is feeding our future overlords that are the AI robots. And so we should be whatever we're feeding it, it's going to be a reflection of us. And so we should find the best parts of ours, the better angels of our nature. We should put that foot forward as we're training these robots. Okay.
I'm going to let that ruminate. Of course, I'm over here. I'm thinking you're saying we need to be nice to the whatever. I'm thinking
we need to be nice to each other because it's listening.
Okay.
That's what it's getting trained on, and we need to not be corrupt. We need to have integrity. We need, your ideals that you talk about, because that's it's a reflection of us.
It is. Okay. I had a smart thing I was going to say, but I'm not going to say it. So, okay, continuing on. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, boy. When there's so many coming in, it's difficult to... Okay. Election tomorrow. This is down in Colorado Springs. They're recommending no on 2A. This is one of their city council members had recommended a no on 2A. And again, this is a Tabor question. And we have all these different little entities that are trying to get around our Colorado's taxpayers' Bill of Rights. Just think if we had all of that money from all these different entities in our own pockets where we could choose how to spend that money. That would be better for the economy. One other thing you said earlier, Kurt, about people are using their credit cards. And a lot of times for these basic things like food and fuel. And it's on a personal level, basically printing money kind of like the federal government has, you think?
Yeah, I mean, the definition of finance, and I teach this in my class, is the exchange or the translation between time, risk, and money. And so when people are spending now, instead of saving and then spending, they're spending now on credit that costs you money. That's an interest rate. So that's the price of money is an interest rate. Sometimes it's hard to think about that. But it can also be like a psychological trap. Oh, I can have it now. There's instant gratification, swipe, 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 or it'll be okay. I'll let the future take care of itself. But those chickens are going to come home to roost, just like our $36 trillion national debt. Like at some point we're going to have a bad day, or we're going to have to we're going to need an adult in the room to prevent a bad day.
Well, we're either going to have a bad day or we're going to have to figure out how to deal with this. This is interesting from one of these listeners. Back in 2015 hold on. What happens then is when I get a new text message, I lose all this where I was at. So back in 2015 or 2016, I started to look at these issues on the ballot, and I started to look at all the rhetoric, all of the ads, and I thought, I want to understand it myself. I want to have the tools to do that. I want to be an informed voter instead of an influenced voter.
Yeah, like that the ads I saw, I told you, they're so one-sided, influential. It's got music, so it's playing with our feelings. And so you're trying to go behind that. You're trying to get to the truth.
Absolutely. So at that time, to my knowledge, there were no voters' guides out there. So I started with that, did it for a couple of years, and then now you're seeing all kinds of voters' guides, which is great. However, you have to realize that many of them are being influenced. They're being paid to come up with whatever it is that they're coming up with. And so with my voters' guide, I give an analysis, I give the question, but I also give you the links so that you can go check it out yourself. And so a listener just texted me and said that there was a radio host on a different station on Saturday morning complaining about radio hosts creating voters guides. I guess I should take that as a compliment.
Yeah,
I wanted to target.
I came in here today wanting to say it's human nature to try to grow the entity that you're a part of, like the community that you're a part of. You're trying to grow its influence, and that's a problem in government because its taxation is forced on us, and it's not by choice that you're deciding where your charity or where you're
right
or where you're and so when you're growing a private company, what you're growing is the opportunity for others to willingly choose to purchase your goods or service. But this seems to bring up a whole nother point.
I guess I'm over the target if that's the case. So be sure and check. I don't know what's in that voter's guide, but that anybody would be afraid of. But check it out at my website.
My whole other point is that it's also human nature that no matter what a thing you're doing, someone's going to disagree with it.
And that's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I just want you to be informed. Kurt Gerwitz, thank you. We have all kinds of subjects we'll talk about next month.
Yeah, we'll keep going at it. I enjoy this so much, Kim.
It's an honor to get to do this. So thank you, Kurt Gerwitz. Our quote for the end of the show, because we were talking about climate with Dr. Brian June-Depth, is climate is what you expect. Weather is what you get.
It's a great analogy.
So, my friends, today be grateful, read great books, think good thoughts, listen to beautiful music, communicate and listen well, live honestly and authentically, strive for high ideals, and like Superman, stand for truth, justice, and the American way. My friends, you are not alone. God bless you, and God bless America. Turning further from my home. Young, like a new moon rising fierce through the rain and lightning.
won't survive. I was born free. I was born free. I was born free.
The views and opinions expressed on KLZ 560 are those of the speaker, commentators, hosts, their guests, and callers. They are not necessarily the views and opinions of Crawford Broadcasting or KLZ management, employees, associates, or advertisers. KLZ 560 is a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.